Hello there, woven web enthusiasts. Today we have a woman that writes into Reddit, "Am I the asshole for kicking my sister out for sleeping in my son's bed?" Throw R.A. Jaded writes in the Am I the Asshole subreddit, "My younger sister is 38 and she moved in with my family a year and a half ago after a horrific divorce. We've always been close, so I was more than happy to have her with us. I live with my husband, who's 45, my son is 21, and our daughter's 15. She slept in our guest bedroom, my sister that is, or so I thought. My sister and son got really close, bonding over a shared hobby, and obviously I thought nothing of it. I mean, how on earth could I have? But early yesterday morning, when I thought my son had gone to work, I went into his room to check something, and there they were sleeping in his bed. I freaked out. I had the absolute worst feeling in my gut. Now, she claimed they were only sleeping, but her face was bright red, and she was wearing this skimpy little nightgown. I told her to get out and never come back. Now, my son immediately started defending her, repeating that they were only sleeping and that I needed to stop being mean to her. Now, in my anger, I told him to go with her. So now they're out, they're gone, and I have no idea where. I've been a mess, and to my knowledge, my sister has nowhere to go besides here. I can't get the feeling out of my head, the image being her laying there in his bed with him in that skimpy nightgown. Did I overreact? And OP updates the post, "My son refuses to come back if she won't be here. He says he will go wherever she is. It's like he's in love. I am sick." So before we get into the comments here, let's look at the relevant facts. The son is 21. He's not a child, although he is still living with mom and dad at 21. The sister went through a, quote, horrific divorce, unquote. I'm curious, has anyone talked to her ex and actually got his side of it? Always interesting. And finally, the skimpy nightgown part probably is relevant here. And for the comments, I Hate Disney writes, "Could your husband reach out to them? You and your husband need to have a conversation with your son and with your sister separately to get an understanding of what they claim is happening. Your son, so he can understand why this is wrong, and your sister, so that you can rip her hair out." And OP responds, "I'd call her, but I can't fathom anything she could possibly say to make this right. I'm terrified to look in either of their rooms for evidence, but I think that's my next step before I do talk to her." And the next comment, "This could have been going on since he was a kid. Normal 21-year-olds don't have sex with their aunt. Don't assume this just started. Speak to your son and find out when this started." I Need a Username 201 writes, "I'm guessing she lied about the reason for divorce. Call her ex-husband. You may find out he's not the cheater. And you might find out some additional unfortunate things." Hot Sexy Mods writes, "So how hot is your sister? You could help them go on shows like Oprah or start a real-life TV series and make bank. Or just OnlyFans it all. Megabucks." The Real Dwayne Camacho writes, "I agree. It's probably been a thing before now. It could have just turned physical. It's very disheartening that OP told him to leave with her as well instead of communicating with him and getting to the root of the matter. He is 21, but he's still your child living under your roof. Protect your children at any age and at all costs, in my opinion." Mostly Anxiety writes, 21-year-olds still aren't fully adults. Their brains are still developing. Most people can look back in their teens, early 20s and realize just how young they really were." Country Life 2021 writes, "You need to file a police report. The fact that your son won't come back without her, it's serious." And the next comment, "There's a reason Jeff Foxworthy used to say family reunions were where rednecks went to find dates." Hawkeye in D.C. says, "Oh my God, I'm so sorry, OP. This is seriously jacked up. Is there anyone else you trust to intervene, like one of your parents? Surely someone can talk some sense into him or your sister." And OP responds, "Sadly, both of our parents have now passed away. I told our brother about this, and he's disgusted, but I'm not sure what he could say to either of them." Professor Plum Did It writes, "You do realize that your nearly 40-year-old sister was 100% grooming your half-that-age child, right? And that you told him to go with the disgusting POS who groomed him? A better tactic would have been to find out just how far back the grooming goes. Was she ever alone with him as a child, teen?" OP responds, "I'm definitely going to talk to him. No, we've always lived in two different parts of the country, so they really only saw each other during major holidays. What's awful is that my sister has children of her own, they live with their father. Cookie Cocky writes, I'd be asking her ex if there was ever any sign of this perverted behavior before. Could that be the underlying reason for the nasty divorce? Avatar of Perdition writes, definitely a possibility, but I would lean more towards them sharing a hobby and bonding and her being traumatized from her marriage, divorce, per OP. Many times those connections mask themselves as a romantic attachment, especially if she felt neglected in her marriage and is now just getting basic male attention from someone who treats her like a human being. I'm not defending her actions, just some insight into the brain. Shane B. 37 writes, I feel like there's some history here. She doesn't have her own kids for a reason. Vichrome responds to that, while true, she is apparently homeless, which is a good reason to not have custody of your kids. Though if CPS catches wind of this, she likely never will have. And as for me here at Woven Webs, there's a question that nobody asked in the comments that I think gets to the core of it. OP wants to blame her sister, but the bigger question is, where did OP and her husband go wrong in raising this 21-year-old kid that's still living at home for him to think it's okay to sleep with his aunt? That's the question, darling. And for the comments that are saying he's 21 and just a kid, yes, we all have our head in our ass when we're 21, but he can legally buy beer. He's been able to be shipped off to war for 3 years. He's of age. Get over it. What are your thoughts? Let us know in the comments, and I appreciate you listening.